is planning on giving away his $120 million in personal wealth, and then his shares in his plan. That's possible only in a free market. Only when you have the people who can, with their genius, just create huge benefits for people. And think of course, all the wonderful equipment that Apple has produced. Even though there are many who look down upon it as a kind of a closed digital environment, and would not speak too well of it. I know our in-house tech expert Russell the Kid has negligible things to say about Apple Computer. Well, there's a good bit of local news going on today, and I hope a good menu of things to look at. There's a story in Red Bank that moved yesterday, and let's see, yeah, it was yesterday. I'm not sure what the resolution is. I did not see current details about the man in Red Bank who was being given well, it was intended that he receive a wellness check from the police, but he slapped a deputy in the face, and then he rushed back into his house, and the SWAT team came and stormed the house and found Lindsay Rensell in the basement, according to Chattanoogan.com. Red Bank Police Department had been notified earlier in the afternoon by a mental health official from Johnson Mental Health Center in regard to Mr. Rensell, who lives on Hedgewood in Red Bank. The mental health official talked with Rensell by phone and determined a well-being check was needed by law enforcement. So this is how things are provoked. Sending a police officer with his gun and his badge and his hat to a man to check on him is not a pacific thing. It's not a kind of a peacemaking, calming sort of thing. And if someone needs a health check, maybe he has a state of agitation, maybe he's seeing demons or has a haunted feeling of some kind and feels inadequate and feels anxious and maybe terrified, sending a police officer to check on him seems a little bit contraindicative. Okay, it seems like there should be something else instead of that. When contact was made, John Wilson's piece says, with him in the yard by the residents, by officers, he became physically aggressive and belligerent, refusing to cooperate, striking a deputy in the face with his fist. And then he ran into the house and refused to respond to requests from law enforcement. Well, how do these things work? How do police always respond when someone is angry or aggressive? Well, you arm up, you escalate the situation. There's only one way to go, it seems, in the world of police, and that is to turn military. And that's what happened. The Hamilton County SWAT department, not far down Dayton Boulevard, was probably called. I'm not sure where that group resides, but the sheriff's headquarters is down the street there, north of this Hedgewood. Well, these men came with their armor and their automatic weapons and fired tear gas into the house. The man was in the basement, and he will undergo a mental evaluation at a hospital before being taken, as it says, transported to the Moccasin Bend facility. There's a story also from TV 12 about this incident. The man was Mr. Rensell was let out in handcuffs. The dad is quoted by the reporter at TV 12 as saying that the son is manic, depressive, and schizophrenic. And we have, I'd say in God's providence, there's a quiet resolution of this confrontation where there are armed officers ready to fire, to kill someone who is having neurological problems, or what are commonly called mental problems, and is not quite stable, not quite in his right mind, horribly anxious, maybe delusional, and feeling perhaps persecuted by the world, by his reveries, by the police. And this, we are, what we want to have in the local economy. We want to have peace officers rather than law enforcement. And I know that we can laugh at that because there are people who commit crimes who are do so in great scale. We think of school shooters, for example, And they operate in such a large scale that the police, who are ostensibly there to protect us and to solve crimes, have to be ahead in the arms race. And there is a shifting in mentality among police departments, long standing. Right, what we're describing here is not something new, but has been for at least 40 years in the making, since the beginning of the first SWAT team in Los Angeles. Speaking of self-government locally, which implies somewhat that we have less need of police and less need of armed interventions than we might think. There's a note from John Harris from the Tennessee Firearms Association, and he says that the Republicans in the Tennessee House of Representatives are stonewalling you, my listeners. There's an arrangement from Beth Harwell, and there's in the state house, where gun bills, right to bear arms bills, are being routed to a new location, which has on a committee which has on it parties sympathetic to the establishment Republican party led by Governor Bill Haslam. And John Harris, of course, he's an attorney, constitutional attorney and lawyer, and is I think he's a registered lobbyist, and his group is a nonprofit organization, Tennessee Firearms Association, which I would suggest you consider to be your representative in Nashville on this point. As John cares very much about expanding the state's recognition of your inherent and constitutional rights to bear arms as you see fit, as you, my listener, a citizen of the free state of Tennessee, called also in our Constitution, you'd be a member of a free people, that you have a recognition of your pre-existing liberties, and that what needs to happen is that the laws need to be changed to reflect the state's understanding of what your rights really are. Right? It's not that you don't have the rights, as Russell points out. Russell, our Digital Drive analyst, points out, it's not that you don't have the rights. Your rights are still there. It's just, does the legislature, does the statute recognize those rights, and does it let you exercise them without harassment and endangerment? John Harris says that this year Beth Harwell, or those acting under her direction, have assigned most Second Amendment related bills to the Civil Justice Committee, and then there's a subcommittee, even making things even more complicated, called the Civil Sub. That's the lingo in the General Assembly. Now, heading this committee are parties who are indifferent to the right to bear arms, and the leading character is John Lundberg, and he and his colleagues are, as John Harris says, liberals, rhinos, and Democrats, with perhaps 2 or 3 conservatives at most, of 9 total members. And the subcommittee is just as bad. It's chaired by what he calls an establishment minion, Jim Cooley. Although John Lundberg, another establishment minion, chairs the full committee, he also serves on the subcommittee. So what's happened to measures that would extend greater recognition to your rights, my listeners' rights, are being stacked against you by the Republicans, even though they say generally that they're for the Second Amendment, and they're for the equivalent measure in Article 1 in the Tennessee Constitution, which is your right to bear arms. And so in a nutshell, here's what John Harris says. He says that we have leadership, appointed minions who are serving primarily as apparent gatekeepers to kill legislation that the leadership and or the governor want to keep from the floor of the House or the Senate, to prevent all elected legislators from deciding the public policy of the state in a form of representative government where the people have substantially equal representation in the direction of government. So the party, the Republican Party, and its leadership, Beth Harwell, are making it almost impossible for the people as a whole, through their representatives, to have a vote on Second Amendment related measures. And of course, the main one, the one that would be the most exhilarating, would be constitutional carry. And that is to say that you, my listener, will be free to carry your 380, your Glock, your revolver on your person or under your jacket, or openly on your hip, without having to make any request for permission from the state. Harris says, so the evidence is mounting that the governor and the legislative leadership are intentionally disenfranchising the voters of the state by bastardizing a committee system that was intended to intelligently craft legislative policy and instead morphing it into a system capable of stonewalling, derailing, and protecting the oligarchy and dominion of a few tyrants. And so the language is, you might say the language is a bit warm here. Okay, there's a bit of warmth in John Harris's manner of expression, using words such as tyranny and minions and so on. These are kind of fighting words, but you have to understand that despite his emotion and his passion for this issue, which we share viscerally, we have to see that he's pointing out, he's reporting something that's valuable to you, and that's why I, your host here at Nuganomics.com, David Toulis, bring this development up. We don't really cover politics directly, but it is important that you understand that you do have a right to bear arms, and you do have a right to bear them without permission. Though the state would disagree with you if you exercise your right too freely, maybe too openly, and would even criminally charge you, call you a criminal if its officers caught you exercising your rights, because the rights are not recognized right now by the state statutes and the enforcement of police departments, sheriff's departments, and the Tennessee Highway Patrol. If you want to prosper, I'd like you to think about consulting Eric Pelton. Eric Pelton runs E.J. Pelton Company. He's an accountant, a CPA, and he does tax and accounting services and consulting services for you personally or for you in your business. Eric's been doing this line of service for 37 years and would love to help you. It's an intense tax season right now, of course, prior to the April 15 federal filing deadline for those who are liable to file federal tax returns. Eric would love to hear from you. Call the number and get on his schedule. Slots are running out if you are needing help. The number is 622-3156. Call today, 622-3156, and support local. Buy local and engage a local firm as opposed to a national firm. Of course, there are national firms that do taxes. I'll be taking my mother this afternoon, my aged relative, to an H&R Block office where she's gone for many years, and sit in on the proceedings for her. And so there are certainly competitors on the national side, but you, my listener, thinking in terms of local economy, thinking in terms of loving your neighbor and buying local, you will maybe be wiser than the default decision, right? If you have tax return that you need to have done, go to H&R Block. People say, well, there are alternatives to that, and we would suggest that local is really better. There's an underlying principle that we keep digging for here at Nuganomics.com, and I keep digging, and I'm going to have to wield the shovel more briskly, I think, to make any progress, because I'm only the number 3 show here at Hot News Talk Radio. We are Hot News Talk Radio, 1240 a.m. in Chattanooga, 910 in South Pittsburgh and Jasper, and 1190 in Dunlap. I do thank you for giving me a couple of minutes of your time, and I'm trying to get to the number 1 slot, but that is held pretty firmly by Russell, the kid who handles Digital Drive. He's our news director and a great aficionado of the tech sector, and makes a very exciting argument for the marketplace. And if you want to understand tech, understand the great liberation that tech is bringing us and that market itself, well, you will prosper from listening to Digital Drive. The number 2 slot probably is held, well, I'm not going to prejudge this. It could be held by Sean Hannity, the great conservative talk show host. His program is right after me, and Sean made the switch recently, by the way, to Hot News Talk Radio. And you, my listener, you have a friend who listens to talk radio, right? Gets profit from our analyses of things, and you need to send him here. Your friend needs to hear about Hot News Talk Radio, and he needs to make the switch. And he'll enjoy Laura Ingraham. Probably she's number 2. She'll enjoy Sean Hannity. Maybe Imus in the morning. That acerbic, notorious name in talk radio. And we've got CBS News. We've got here at Hot News Talk Radio on the first day of the week. We've got NASCAR and Fox at the bottom. And you can hear our shows anywhere that you want on YouTube. We have a Hot News Talk Radio channel on your smartphone. There's a great little app that's free. It's called TuneIn Radio, and you just type in, I think without spaces, our station name, and then you can hear us. You can hear us there. Well, there is. I've been working on. I found this morning. Looked at the first third, maybe the first quarter. A very important interview that Bill Binney, gives to a very fine young scholar whose group is called Tragedy and Hope. TragedyandHope.com. After Carroll Quigley's famous peeling back of the establishment motives and purposes and people in his history, which is called Tragedy and Hope. Richard Grove is the interviewer, and Bill Binney's pointing out how the surveillance system is creating a national economy. And I mention that because I'm thinking about the argument that's important about how local economy is where revelations are going to be made in the future. Under the surveillance state, local economy is where revelations about the miscreancies, the evils, if you will, the bad things of national economy, that they're going to be unveiled. And they're going to be unveiled there because the people who have the whistleblowers are going to have to go to local economy to unburden their hearts, right? They're going to have to go to meet someone in person. They're going to go to this person's front door of his house or in his office, and they're not going to have on their persons a smartphone. They may be driving a borrowed car to mislead Skynet. They're going to want to have a nighttime interview. They may come after dark to avoid satellite detection of movement of any kind of involving themselves. And they're going to go into the town and meet the journalist who's covering their story. Now, that is because they'll have on their person a thumb drive. They'll have printouts. They'll have illustrations. They'll say, let's give a personal interview in person. It's going to have to happen in local economy. It can't happen under the observation of Skynet. It's going to have to be private and personal, and it can't be on anything of the network. And Bill Binney helped make that network. I'm just about to publish a story about this question, how Skynet is pushing people into local economy. The name is David Toulis, and our show is Nuganomics.com. I've got some things I want you to hear. Hang on.
NASCAR, Laura Ingraham, Dennis Miller, David Toulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
Hot News Talk Radio, 910, 1190, and 1240 AM.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble. Just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better-than-new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway, near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing. I'm feeling great, supercharged.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy Reinhardt, inviting you to get a free session in our new Magnosphere. This is a device that improves your health through precisely tuned, low-frequency magnetic fields. As a chiropractor, I manage aches and pains, mainly in the back and neck. What's hurting you right now? And how long has it been there? Why put up with it any longer? I've been in practice for 28 years and know how to help. Chiropractic adjustments enable you to heal and to feel better. Call 875-8222. That's 875-8222. And remember, whether you come for chiropractic or not, you're invited to schedule your free Magnosphere session at 875-8222.
Hi, my name is Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. I help people who want to be self-employed. I help my clients through a very fact-based and analytical process to understand all the criteria that's important to them. I then help them look at franchises or businesses that fit their criteria. Once my clients find the right opportunity, I help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying themselves through the startup phase. If you're just curious to understand the types of businesses that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hello, friends and neighbors. Come on down to Comfort Gallery Mattress and Furniture in Kimball, Tennessee. They have a huge selection and discount prices on quality brands you know and trust. 90 days, same as cash, easy payment plans, and a free 1-year no money down layaway. Open 7 days a week. Come on and visit or call 837-3000. That's Comfort Gallery Mattress and Furniture in Kimball, Tennessee.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? E.J. Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let E.J. Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. German authorities searching for clues into why co-pilot Andreas Lubitz may have crashed his plane into the French Alps.
German police have been going room to room through the 27-year-old's homes. And after those initial searches,
stützt nach vorläufiger Bewertung die Annahme,
prosecutors saying there's evidence Lubitz had been hiding an illness from his employer. A German newspaper reports he'd previously suffered from depression.
Fox Radio, Simon Owen. 5-term Senator Harry Reid announcing he will not run for re-election.
The Nevada Democrat will end his Senate career as minority leader, announcing in a web video the next 22 months will be his last on Capitol Hill.
Fox Radio's Jared Halpern. Reid also endorsing Senator Chuck Schumer as his leadership successor. And an official in San Francisco says sheriff's deputies forced jail inmates to fight each other, gambling on the bouts, telling them to lie if they got hurt. Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
This is David Toulis. Our show is Nooganomics.com. We have local economy news. We have national economy news in the national sector. There's the story about Heinz buying Kraft to form a combination where national players get bigger and bigger, $28 billion. Also in the national news, in the eddies of the news, back where the current's not strong and where not everybody is flowing, there's a story about Home Depot. If you read Nooganomics.com, the number 7 media platform in Chattanooga, it's a website, and it includes this show, Nooganomics.com. There's been, in the past few days, a story about a man named Timothy Knopfsinger. Timothy Knopfsinger is a man who's 64 years old. He lives in the Denver area. Actually, he lives in Golden, Colorado, just west of Denver. And he's been working at a Home Depot. And when gay shares were at their peak, late in the middle of last year, gay shares were at a peak, and you might say the gay market was at a peak. Of course, there's a calamity ahead for that market, I suspect. And I think even if the high court rules in favor of gay theory, it's going to be on the way down. The shares are going to be going down. And while there will be exuberance among the flamboyant gay pride parade actors and others with their mini bathing suits and so on, the shares are going down because people will suddenly be sobered as to what gay theory is all about. It is not about the good of society. It's not about the Commonwealth. It really proposes a collapse of culture and a collapse of marriage. If the High Court rules in favor of gay theory, which seems in many ways unlikely that it would do that, but if it did, we would see suddenly that there's no live and let live among gay activists who now have a pretended constitutional right and a pretended method of crowbarring culture, crowbarring dissenters such as Timothy Knopfsinger and maybe even you, my listener, crowbarring you into circumstances which are incredibly painful, but which they will argue are their right to impose upon you. And the story out of Home Depot is a national economy story, and it shows why we need to eventually, if we survive long enough, to abolish the idea of the corporation. Now, the marketplace would say corporations are a reasonable fiction, a reasonable legal fiction. They allow people to gather together, to pool their efforts and their assets, and to accomplish purposes greater than any one individual. I understand the reason for corporations being formed. They are a convenience for prosperity and for business. On the other hand, as they grow larger, they lose their moral bearings. They become purely rational. They become purely, they're given over entirely to profit and quarterly statements, and they lose their soul. They don't have a soul to begin with. And if they had any reflection of a human soul or even an interest in the way God sees things, they lose that as they grow in scale. Timothy Knopfsinger, welcome to Nuganomics.com.
Thank you, Mr. Tullis.
You can call me David. That's quite all right, Mr. Knopfsinger. You're a bachelor. You're 64 years old. You work at store number 1550 in Lakewood, Colorado. Lakewood has a couple of Home Depots. And something happened when shares, gay market peaked in June 2014. 1914 was when World War I started, but 2014, in June, you saw something that really grabbed your attention on the bulletin board back in the back. What was it? And tell us what's happened, please.
Last June I went to work scheduled to open. I walked through the store. There's a short hall down to the break room and a time clock. And I walking by and noticed a new posting on the bulletin board there, which is primarily for information for employees. The main part of the posting said LGBT History Month, and I was taken aback and stopped to look at it. And it's got some nice colorful flourishes, and the text of it reads talking about the Stonewall riots of 1969 and how the LGBT people are downtrodden people and struggling for their rights, and how that being accepting of them is going to help company profits. And I was dismayed and very disappointed that Home Depot would put out something like this. Essentially, I see this as giving marketing orders to the THD employees, the Home Depot employees. One part of the posting that says you make us diverse. How you engage our fellow associates, customers, and suppliers makes us inclusive. And the idea being that essentially we need to include the evil with the good in order to make better profits. There's one part of the main poster that says 71% of LGBT customers remain loyal to brands that are supportive of and friendly to LGBT issues, even if a brand is more costly or less convenient. And that's clearly stating that Home Depot is putting it upon the employees to accept this and for the sake of profits. And I found that as a Christian, I was quite repugnant, and because, ever since God separated the light from the darkness and the land from the sea, God's about separating good from evil. And now I see Home Depot
doing the opposite, trying to put everything together with this inclusion. And so I decided I needed to do something about it. I was dismayed for some time, a week or two, and I decided to just wait on it a little bit and see what I might come up with, what I might do about it, and finally settled on writing an open letter. I did that. It took me a long time. I'm not a writer. Plus, being a highly charged issue, I had to work through that in years, and finally got some help with editing and got the letter done and put a few copies in the break room. I did look at the company policy before that, and it seemed to me like that would be okay. And then I sent a copy of the letter to each of the board of directors, and I gave a copy to the local store manager. It's only right to inform him of what I'm doing. And he immediately picked up the copies out of the break room, called me in, and said, "You can't do that." And he gave me a copy of the policy. I took the policy home and looked it over very carefully, and I didn't see where I was prohibited. So I made up a few more and distributed them in the break room only. And he called me in again and basically said, if you do that again, you'll be fired. The district personnel person came out, and we talked for a little bit, and the basic message that she had brought to me was Home Depot's not going to change. I'd asked Home Depot to stop doing this, to stop preaching evil to me, to my fellow employees, many of whom are Christians, and stop asking us to accept this evil in the course of doing business. And I was flatly denied. I asked if I could put on that same bulletin board in a succeeding month some information about the love of Christ and the way that God has applied grace and made it so that we have a way to reestablish a relationship with Him. And her answer was, well, we do celebrate Christmas. They have a Christmas party, and they sell one or two items out of thousands that have to do with the idea of Christmas being a religious holiday. My reply was, Christmas really doesn't represent all of Christianity, especially not the way it's taken by those who are not Christians. But so I was essentially shut out in being able to oppose this idea of accepting lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender ideology. And so I see this as essentially the company giving marching orders to employees to put up with this and go with it.
Well, Timothy Nostinger, what other arguments are being made or have been made in the break room of Home Depot and in the hallway arguing for gay rights? Are there other posters, other statements, other flying colorful banners that are part of the fact base in this story?
I've seen none since that day. That posting stayed up for the month of June, and then it was taken down. There's one of the things that caught my attention, and well, let me back up a second. I'm being a Christian man and wanting to order my thinking and my life according to the wisdom of the Bible. One of my first thoughts was, well, the statement in the Proverbs, it says it's the anger of man does not accomplish the righteousness of God. So I thought I'd better take my time and be careful about how I approach this. That was one reason I decided to write the letter. And in my investigations further with the company, I found that policy states that the apron, the orange apron, is the brand of the company. Every apron has this wheel of values printed on it. A couple of those things are doing the right thing, and then another is respect for all people. And I looked at that and I said, well, that doesn't quite work, because doing the right thing requires some definition. Are we doing what is the right thing according to the Home Depot management? And obviously it's to promote this LGBT lifestyle in order to maximize profits. And the idea of respect for all people in practice means promoting homosexuality and demeaning Christian employees.
Right.
So I wrote a little bit about that in the letter, which is available online. It's okay if I give you a website?
Well, my listener can go to Nuganomics.com where the letter is begins. I posted your letter, Mr. Nofsinger, a few days ago, and it's there entirely, and it links to the second half. I run half of it, and the listener who wants to hear further about your story and your arguments can jump to your file. I guess it's a Google Drive document on Google Docs.
Yes.
Well, make the argument then. What we understand that this is an oppressive. This is an argument for religion by this corporation. The religion is you might say of egalitarianism or of course LGBT. I call it lug butt for short, lug butt theory, which is inimical to the idea of marriage. And I would suggest that it's also homosexuality and the religion connected with it is an argument against capital, against profit, and even against the future, because homosexuality does not envision the future. It is only about the kind of orgiastic consumption of the moment. It's very short-term centered, and the people who are involved, whether it's Jim and Joe or Jane and Jill, these are people who can't reproduce. And so the perspective is very short-term. There's no view of, there's no intergenerational view that Christianity kind of brings upon its adherents.
Yes,
talk some more about the idea.
I see it as particularly egregious that LGBT people want to steal children from those who do produce, and that line of reasoning and understanding that there is no future in that. It's very unfortunate that the Home Depot has latched onto it and put it upon its employees in order to maximize profits. They want to get that 71% of LGBT consumers that they claim, and I have no problem with corporations being in business to make profit. That's what they're there for. But when you go about making profit by accepting evil, that's a problem.
Well,
so you can open a can of paint with a backhoe, but that doesn't make it a good thing to do.
Right. Well, explain, Timothy Nofsinger, why it's a duty for you to publish this document, which you say has been picked up by I'm an editor. I picked it up as a valuable development in Christendom. Why is it your duty to make the arguments that you do, and say a little bit more about the arguments that you make in your essay, please? Give a summary.
Because I am a Christian, it's my duty and pleasure to speak against evil and to speak for the right. As a matter of fact, we are commanded to do that, and I think it's unfortunate that I see many Christians across the country wanting to be silent and not say anything. I don't know if it's the idea that Christians should not be involved in politics. I've heard that idea, which is quite false. But it's our duty to speak the truth, and especially in this country where we have the freedom of speech, we should take advantage of that at every opportunity. And I'm wanting to encourage other Christians to do so more and more, to stand against this evil that if we are silent, it's just going to roll over us. And it's particularly troublesome to see a corporate giant with great economic power putting forth this idea and asking people to accept these wrong ideas in order to be a good employee. Essentially, they're given marching orders for THD employees to accept this and not speak of it and to be silent. And you can't keep evil at bay by being silent. It just doesn't work that way.
This is David Toulis. We're talking with Timothy Nofsinger, who works at a Home Depot at store 1550 in Lakewood, Colorado. He's 64 years old, and late in the middle of last year, as gay shares were at their peak, Home Depot put up a poster about lug butt theory, or gay theory, and he is objecting. He objected by correspondence to company officials and was denied an opportunity of having any kind of posting or distribution of his comments or literature objecting to gay theory. Mr. Knopfsinger, let me ask you a question. You said that Christians who are silent about this or think somehow it does not apply to them are going to be steamrolled. What kind of peril is ahead if Christians who are professing to believe in God and His government and His laws, if they say nothing about this and don't take a stand? What's ahead?
Well, for one example, I've heard that here in Colorado there is a law that has been passed. It's on the books that it is illegal to speak against homosexuals or any of the LGBT choices, and I guess they're just not applying that law yet, but it's there and just waiting for the time to put it onto us, make us stop speaking and even start thinking along the lines that they want us to think. One of the things that Home Depot does to build and cultivate a corporate culture is they have a phrase that says, live the orange life. Orange being, of course, the color of the apron, the chosen color of the Home Depot. Nothing wrong with building a culture for success. Excuse me, but when you force evil down people's throats, and especially an evil that will destroy liberty, the liberty that we all love, eventually, and not that far in the future, then I can't accept it. I live the Christian life. I don't live the orange life. When I'm on the job, when I'm clocked in at Home Depot, I'm all in for the company and doing my job as best I can. That's another responsibility as a Christian that I freely accept. But if I have to put up with certain things and be required to join in accepting that evil, I can't do that. I don't. When you're working next to someone who is homosexual or something like that, when if that person is just silent about it, well, you probably would never know. On the other hand, if somebody shouts it at you, like a man wearing dresses or something to that effect, that's a different problem, different situation.
You say that slavery is something that attaches to the gay life, that the gay life, gay living, gay theory is an enslavement. The word you also apply to people who are professing Christian people who say nothing about it. So there's a loss of liberty of the person who adheres to gay theory, and then there seems to be a loss of liberty in the soul of a professing Christian who does not vocally and with movement object to impositions in favor of the lug butt idea. And you would say, it sounds like what you're saying is you don't want to be enslaved by silence.
Well, that's true. I've wondered for several decades now, when I first started hearing about the political push for homosexuals to be accepted. I was wondering, what can I do? How could I affect this? What can I do to stand against it? And this sort of jumped up and hit me in the face. I had to take some action on it. I'm glad I did, and as I say, I hope to encourage many other Christians and even to influence some of those who are not Christians. Because when it comes right down to it, the concept of homosexual behavior is against nature. It's self-evident that what LGBT people practice and promote is perverse.
Does Christianity hold that such people can be forgiven of the sin of homosexual sex?
Yes, absolutely. Anyone, anyone who is caught in any sin can come out of it. The idea that homosexuals are born that way is clearly false. There's no. Some people are struggling to build up scientific evidence, to manufacture scientific evidence, but it's not going to be found.
So, Timothy,
I know that because I know the principles of Scripture.
So, Timothy Nossinger, you work for Home Depot, and you're taking a public stand for marriage. You're taking a public stand for the Christian ethic, the Christian moral ethic, which says that sexuality is a gift from God and is subject to His regulation, subject to His rule. And you're saying, I will not live my life, even at that company, and not express myself against the attack on that rule that God gives for marriage.
Exactly. Yeah, I need to stand up and say something, and I'm hoping that this open letter will spread far and wide and get people to think about it and not just assume that, well, it's just another lifestyle choice. It's not. It's a lifestyle choice that will kill and destroy the people who do it, as well as the people around them. There's no way to contain that. Some people argue that it's behind closed doors. I don't care what.
This is David
Behind
Tillis.
closed doors, but it will come out. It can't
Timothy
help
Nossinger.
it. Can't be contained.
Timothy Nossinger, thank you for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Thank you, Mr. Tillis.
Thank you, sir. Timothy Nossinger is counting the cost, paying the price for being a Christian, standing against a gigantic corporation with its orange apron and its gay theory. It's imposing the idea that loving, liking, accepting gays is the way to prosperity. And yet the arguments for capital are directly against it.
NASCAR, Laura Ingram, Dennis Miller, David Toulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
Hot News Talk Radio, 910, 1190, and 1240 a.m.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Hot News Talk Radio, join Real Estate U for an hour of information, guests, and new ideas about the dynamic Chattanooga real estate investment market. Real Estate U every Tuesday at 11 a.m. here on Hot News Talk Radio.
Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way!
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say,
our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Hi, my name is Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. I help people who want to be self-employed. I help my clients through a very fact-based and analytical process to understand all the criteria that's important to them. I then help them look at franchises or businesses that fit their criteria. Once my clients find the right opportunity, I help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying themselves through the startup phase. If you're just curious to understand the types of businesses that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My phone number is 423-875-5621.
It's time to get out your running shoes for the second annual Operation Outreach Race on March 28th at Miles Strait Baptist in Soddy Daisy. This year's race includes a 5K road race, trail race, a road and trail challenge, and a 1-mile fun walk. A portion of the proceeds will go to the Soddy Daisy Food Bank, and each participant will be asked to bring canned food to the race as we try to raise
WSDQ Dunlap, WEPG South Pittsburgh, WSDT Soddy Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News. I'm Vicki Barker in Dusseldorf. German prosecutors are trying to reconstruct the mind and the movements of Andreas Lubitz, the Germanwings co-pilot who crashed his plane into a French mountainside with 150 on board.
Medical documents were seized which point to an existing illness and medical treatment.
Several doctor's notes have been found in the 27-year-old's apartment, including one declaring him unfit to fly on the day of the crash. It had been torn into pieces.
Someone with a sick note has no business being in a cockpit. He should have stayed home. I cannot comprehend that.
The head of the German Pilots Association through an interpreter. A local hospital has confirmed Lubitz was treated there as recently as March 10th, but hospital administrators won't say more and don't confirm media reports that Lubitz suffered from severe depression. While German police continue their search for answers, French investigators continue to search that remote mountaintop for the flight data recorder and for human remains. They say some 600 body parts have been recovered so far, but no intact bodies. I'm Vicki Barker in Dusseldorf. Now with more CBS News, here's Deborah Rodriguez.
The University of Oklahoma has done some digging and found out more about a video that led to the expulsion of 2 members of the Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity. University President David Boren.
The origin of the racist chant at the Oklahoma chapter of SAE was that it was learned by chapter members at a national leadership cruise sponsored by the national organization 4 years ago.
Boren says all students will undergo diversity training to combat what he calls a racism epidemic. Secretary of State John Kerry is asking his department's Inspector General to look into procedures for handling emails by employees. A spokesman says it is not intended to specifically investigate the controversy over Hillary Clinton's emails while she was secretary. President Obama surprising Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid during an interview with radio station KNPR in Las Vegas after Reid announced he will not run for another term.
When the story is written and when all is told, you're going to have somebody who has done more for Nevada and for this country as anybody who's ever been in the Senate.
Too much of a good thing can be deadly, especially when it comes to antibiotics. Now the Obama administration wants to do something about it.
The overuse of antibiotics has led to bacteria that's tough to kill, raising fears that once treatable germs could prove deadly. The The administration's issued a 5-year blueprint for federal agencies to help improve how drugs are prescribed and curb the spread of drug-resistant threats. Vanderbilt's Dr. William Schaffner applauds the plan.
We want to assure a future where if you get an infection, we, the doctors, will have an antibiotic that can treat it effectively and quickly.
Officials say the effort could save thousands of lives. Pam Coulter, CBS News, the White House.
Dow up 16. This is CBS News.
I'm Jay Farner with some great news on how you could save an average of $3,000 per year on your mortgage. Call Quicken Loans now at 800-QUICKEN to see if you qualify for the government's Home Affordable Refinance Program, or HARP. The HARP guidelines have changed. There's less paperwork and often no appraisal required. Call 800-QUICKEN. That's 800-QUICKEN, or visit QuickenLoans.com.
Important terms and conditions apply. Calls for cost information. Equal housing lender. Licensed law 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Okay, who left the lights on?
Charlie did.
Abby did.
Dad did. But I did not.
Did not.
I wasn't the last. Dad and Abby are lying.
Framed.
Now with the Lutron Maestro occupancy sensing switch, you leave a room, the lights go off. You enter, the lights go on. And you save energy.
Who left the lights on?
No one did. With the Maestro occupancy sensing switch from Lutron. Find one at lutronsensors.com. Save more, shout less.
Available from your local home center, lighting showroom, or electrical professional.
Google is accused of illegally tracking and targeting people who use Apple's Safari browser.
A British court gave UK consumers the right to sue Google over the alleged misuse of privacy settings. Google tried to block the case. It's alleged the search engine bypassed privacy settings on Apple's Safari browser, gathering data on surfing habits, then targeting users with advertising. The court ruled the claims are serious and merit a trial, which could lead to substantial damages. One claimant calls it a David and Goliath victory. For similar action in the U.S., Google was fined more than $40 million. Larry Miller, CBS News, London.
Look who's getting into the marijuana business.
Maybe I...
81-year-old Willie Nelson tells the Daily Beast he's launching his own brand of pot and pot stores across the country. Nelson was arrested 5 years ago in Texas for possession. Deborah Rodriguez, CBS News.
NASCAR, Laura Ingram, Dennis Miller, David Toulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
Hot News Talk Radio, 910, 1190, and 1240 AM. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
Our show's Nooganomics.com. We believe that near is better than far, that small is way better than big, that simple outshines, outperforms, outdoes, outgraces complex. Also, in the footnotes, we would want to make two more points that are subsidiary points. Always argue in threes when you have a chance to. Simple is better than corporate. I'm sorry, personal is better than corporate. And physical is better than abstract. And part of the idea of local economy, in which we propose loving our neighbors and buying local, is that we need to support local farmers and patronize local markets, farmers markets particularly, and locally owned businesses that are not part of some gigantic franchise scheme spreading across 20 or 30 states. And to help us get a view of that prospect, that alternative view here in the Chattanooga area and in the area of South Pittsburgh, Jasper, Dunlap, and North Hamilton County, is Lori Carter. She is the market manager for Lookout Farmers Market. Lori, welcome to Nooganomics.com. How are you?
I'm doing great, David. Thank you for having me today.
Well, tell us what the news is about Lookout Farmers Markets and the pending opening date, and what you're doing to get things ready for the farmers ready for my listener.
Well, we're very excited to be on the verge of opening the 2015 season. Last year was great. We started out as one market, and by the end of the season, we had 5 locations. Those locations are going to be back this year with an additional market in the works, and we start the season off in April. Our first market will be on Saturday, April 18th. and that will be at the North River YMCA in Hickson.
What about the
And
other
following
markets?
that will be on Monday, we will have our YMCA Farmers Market at the Hamilton Place YMCA. Tuesday will be at Audubon Acres. Wednesday, we will be at a new location that won't open until a few weeks later. That's very exciting, but still in the works. And then on Thursday, we'll be at our Lookout Mountain location at the City Hall on the Georgia side. Friday, we're in St. Elmo at the Incline. And all of those markets that are during the week run from 4 until 7 p.m. The market on Saturday is from 10 until 1.
Well, it sounds like what you're trying to do, Lori Carter, is bring local economy to my listener, wherever that listener is in the Chattanooga area.
That's right, David. We actually are excited that Tennessee led the way in the opening of farmers markets in 2014. And here in Chattanooga, when we opened our Monday market, we closed the gap. There is now a producer-only, locally grown market somewhere in the Chattanooga area every day of the week. And we're really excited about that because people in European countries, they've been buying fresh food at the market daily, for thousands of years. Here in America, we've kind of lost sight of that. And we go to the grocery store and we stock up the things, and we're not eating locally fresh food every day. And that's a shame because it is here to be bought.
Are we worse off for it?
I think most people would, let's say most people who are involved in health-related issues would say, yes, we are definitely worse off for it.
And how's that?
Well, when you take food that's not fully developed, that's grown with genetically modified practices, and you ship it and you gas it and you wax it, by the time it gets to you, it's really lost a lot of the nutrients that it started out with. And sadly, the nutrients that it would have had, even if it had grown to maturity, would not be the same as something that's produced sustainably with heirloom varieties grown here in your own backyard.
So my listener,
a whole different product. I think most of your listeners can remember, opening up a fresh watermelon when they were a kid, and it just tastes wonderful. And they say it's just not the same today, and that's because it really isn't the same today. We have hybridized so much of our fruits and vegetables that they are not the same as they were years and years ago. They've been modified to protect them against diseases, certain types of pestilence, to make them have a longer shelf life. And sadly, that has really affected the nutrition and also the taste.
Are the suppliers, Lori Carter, at the Lookout Farmers Market of the same mind as you? Are they sort of scrupulous about understanding local economy versus national economy, local agriculture versus national agriculture? Do they share, we could say, even the prejudice for fresh produce versus the produce that's brought in from the truck?
I'm going to say that our vendors would. Now, some of our vendors set out purposely on the mission to do this. And some of them, especially some of them that are 70 years or older, they probably didn't set out to do it, but they've just been doing it right their whole life.
Well, tell us about one or two of the farmers who are at the market, or at one of the several markets that rotate around the Chattanooga area.
Well, we're really fortunate. Last year, we ended up with over 70 different vendors who, were sort of dispersed throughout all of our markets. Some actually managed to get to most of the markets, and we were really happy about that. I could give you, for example, we have a young couple who live out in Wildwood, Georgia, and they are egg farmers. They have over 900 chickens, and these chickens are pastured meaning that they spend most of their day running around outside eating bugs and grass and worms, which makes their eggs so much more beneficial than coming from a chicken that spends its whole life inside a hen house, not being able to go outside and living the life of a natural chicken. The omega-3 and omega-6 contents are different. So, when you hear that eggs are bad for you, well, actually, some of them kind of are, because that they don't have the benefits of the nutrition the way that an egg is supposed to have when a chicken gets to lead a natural sort of life where they can eat the things that they're supposed to eat and, get sunshine and take care of themselves. God really made animals in a way that they just have instinct to do the right thing. But if they're put in situations where they can't do that, then it really is harmful to the animals and to the products that they produce.
Is there a problem being a market manager? Is it difficult to find customers, or is it difficult to find suppliers? Where does the biggest pressure in your job in having a market that has, you said last year there were 70 vendors. Are vendors hard to come by? What's the lack in the area market? Where is the deficiency that you are hoping over time that you will conquer?
Well, there's issues on both sides. Number one, we're not producing the farmers that we once produced. Now, we have big factory farms that are doing these huge 1,000-acre monocrops, but those aren't local farmers. That's not, that's big business. It's very different. But on a local scale, like the average age of a farmer is around 62 years old. We definitely need to be growing new farmers. And, that is a great concern of mine. We could have even more markets if we had more farmers bringing more produce. Like I said before, in Europe, you can go to any street corner and you can get fresh fruits and vegetables and breads and that sort of thing. But that's not the case here. We just don't have enough farmers to grow enough stuff that we can have markets in every community. And that's really sad. On the other side, we have a lot of customers who say they would like to eat healthy and that they want to support local economy and farmers market, and then they just drive right past us as they go to the big box store because that's their habit. And what we want to encourage people is to develop a new habit where they come to the market first, buy everything that they can on their list there, and then they can go to the big box stores. But supporting local economy is so very important. We are all eaters, so agriculture is important to everybody. Anybody who says, well, I don't really care about farmers markets, I don't care about farms. Well, if you eat, you really do care about those things because somebody has to grow all the components of everything that you ingest.
Well, Lori Carter of Lookout Farmers Markets, you're making a good point about my listener. I think he is guilty of what you described as well as I. We're kind of in a hurry, and we just dashed past. I dashed past St. Albans on Saturday because I'm going somewhere, and then I end up going to the BILO. And that's of course that's not a sin to do that, but there's something kind of corrupted and faded in my way of thinking if I do that. So what you're proposing is that the listener not just stock up on the farmer's market, not to stock up at the factory food store and then get an odd thing or two at the farmer's market just for fun. You're saying he needs to start at the farmer's market and then fill in the gaps if there are gaps left by going to the chain grocery store.
That's exactly right.
Well,
and it's amazing what all people don't realize that you can get at the farmer's market. Not only can you get produce and fruit, but depending on the market that you're at, you can also get meat products, you can get beef, you can get all different kinds of cuts of locally grown, sustainably grown beef that you can feel good about eating, beef that's actually good for you. You can get chickens, you can get lamb, you can get bison. There's a lot of different, meat products out there. There's different types of cheeses. Of course, you have nuts. You have added value products like jams and jellies, local honey. That's also very good to tasting. It's wonderful. There's just nothing better than honey. And it's also good for you. It has a lot of good health benefits as well. There's breads, there's muffins. We have people who do all different types of cakes and pies and things like that that are actually the kind that, your grandmother made.
Right.
They're made out of real produce. They're made out of real fruits that are seasonal, so that all the flavors there and all the health benefits are there, and it's just absolutely delicious. And then we do have some vendors that sell products that are not necessarily food related. We have folks who make soaps, lotions, candles, but even those products are often made from folks that those people produce. Like with the candles, it could be that the wax is actually from bees that they have on their property. The soaps are made from herbs that they grow. So even with those products, you're still, getting a product that you're not going to find just everywhere. And the thing that I want folks to really realize is when you buy local, your dollar, economists tell us, bounces around a neighborhood at least 7 times. That's so important. When you go to the big box store, that money generally leaves Chattanooga, and we don't see it anymore. So buying locally is smart. It's good for our economy. It's good for our community. Even at the market, I see this happen. I get to actually watch this happen, and it's a beautiful thing. Somebody buys a loaf of bread. Well, that bread vendor immediately, he goes over and buys some corn, and then the guy who sells corn, he goes over and he buys some soap. And this wouldn't be going on if somebody didn't start by buying a product. But you can see that money bouncing around, even in our little market community.
This is David Toulis. We're talking with Lori Carter from Lookout Farmers Market. Lori, my listeners just joined us. Give a quick rundown of where the market appears. It's starting on the 18th on Saturdays, the first day. Where will that first market open? And tell the other parts of the Chattanooga area where subsequent markets will crop up on each successive day.
We have a Saturday market at the North River YMCA in Hickson from 10 until 1, and that's going to run April 18th through October the 31st. We have a market on Monday that takes place at the YMCA in the Hamilton Place area on Shallowford Road. That's from 4 to 7. On Tuesdays, we're in East Brainerd at Audubon Acres. On Thursday, we're on Lookout Mountain. This is at the City Hall on the Georgia side, just up from Rock City, also 4 to 7. Fridays, we're in St. Elmo at the Incline parking lot in that grassy area, right by the road. And that's also from 4 to 7. And then the market that we expect to be having on Wednesdays will be in the Highland Park area. And we hope that it'll be opening just a few weeks after the other markets.
I want to mention just briefly Delia's Authentic Mexican Food. Delia's is in Soddy Daisy. The restaurant is run by Maria. So when I say she, I refer to her, but Delia's is a lady's name, obviously. Maria provides a rich selection of loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, enchiladas with beef, chicken, and pork, and quesadillas. The menu has pictures. So if you're new in the country, maybe you're with Volkswagen, you can see how Americans enjoy food from the south of the border. And the name of the restaurant is Delia's. It's on Dayton Pike, right near the Thrasher Light, just north of the light. Maria uses the freshest ingredients cooked to perfection. Every day there's lunch and dinner. Just treat yourself. And every Wednesday there's a special on the tacos. And the special today is the Tazon de Nachos, beef or chicken. It's number 10 on the menu for $5.99. David Toulis here. We're talking with Lori Carter. Lori, let me ask about this. If my listener thinks, well, it's just inconvenient for me to go to the farmer's market, and you're suggesting he and his sweetheart, his wife, buy first at the farmer's market and fill in the gaps at the chain food store as needed. What he's getting, though, might seem initially as a lack of convenience, but he's gaining something else, and that's a kind of social, a sort of timelessness and social connection that my listener is not getting really in any way at the store, the massive, if he goes to the Walmart, the massive Walmart, he doesn't get that there. How is it that farmers markets create a kind of different cultural dynamic in personal relationships?
Well, I think you just said it. You know, we have really gotten away from having a town center, and these markets sort of act that way, sort of the gate of the community where people can come together in a relaxed way and talk and sort of hang out and, you know, connect and even network with each other. Our Lookout Mountain Market and St. Elmo Market, I see that happening because they're there in the community, and people come and they congregate and they hang around and they talk and they, get something there to eat together, and they make a picnic, and it's just wonderful. You also can talk to the people who grows your food. You can talk to the people who make your bread. And if you don't show up, I mean, I've seen, some of our vendors come over and they're like, we haven't seen Susan and Bill in a while. Do you know anything about what's going on with them? We're concerned. They actually develop a concern for their customers. And sadly, that's missing today when you go shopping at the big box stores. When I was a kid, the grocery store I went to, I did know the people who owned that store. And, they would have cared about my family. But today, the way our stores are, they don't know me. They don't know my family. If I don't come, they're not going to miss me. I wish it were different, but that's just how it is. At the farmer's market, your dollar really counts. We have folks who come to the market and, this is how they pay their light bill. We've got a lot of older folks who come. We've got one couple in particular, they're blueberry farmers. She makes blueberry muffins, and he's told me, this is how I pay my light bill. So, it really matters. If you miss the big box store one week, that's not how your money is not how they pay their light bill. They're not going to miss you, but we do. And when I say we, I mean not just the Lookout Farmers Market, but all of the local farmers markets in and across the Chattanooga area and across the nation.
Lori, give my listener the website, please, and give it a couple of times.
Our website is lookoutfarmersmarket.org.
Lookoutfarmersmarket.org. And so there, my listener can find out which market is closest to him when it meets. There's one in your sequence that will start not immediately in the first week, but a couple weeks later. You said, which one is that again?
That would be our Wednesday market. All the rest will start the week following April 18th.
Well, Lori, thanks for joining my listener and me here at Nuganomics.com.
Well, I'm happy to have been here, and I just want to encourage everyone to go out and support those local markets. And hey, we're also looking for vendors. So if they have something that they'd like to think about selling, if they have a garden that's producing too much, they Terrific. Need to give us a call.
So that is
our number is on the website.
The number's on the website.
Lookoutfarmersmarket.org.
Okay, lookoutfarmersmarket.org. Lori Carter. Again, thanks, Lori. We'll sign off there. Lori Carter is the market manager for a market that's meeting increasing demand here in Chattanooga. So if demand is increasing, I want you, my listener, to be part of the demand for local economy in the free market, and here in the area of food grown by people who live not far from you, who live down the valley or up on the hill, and would love to serve you with the best vegetables, tomatoes, and greens and other good things.
NASCAR, Laura Ingram, Dennis Miller, David Toulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
Hot News Talk Radio, 910, 1190, and 1240 AM.
Hi, this is your computer speaking. I don't feel so well. It's like I've come down with a bug, and I'm getting slower.
Affordable Computers. We fix sick computers. Your hometown guys at Affordable Computers will repair your PC in half the time of the big boys at an affordable price. No tricks, no gimmicks, no computer speak technobabble, just good, quick, and courteous affordable service and repairs. Want to affordably supercharge your PC? Affordable Computers on Highway 58. Affordable Computers hand builds all desktops in-house. If you're looking for a better than new refurb laptop, $150 will get you a Dell or another name brand at Affordable Computers. Affordable Computers, Highway 58, between Arby's and Taco Bell. Also Fort O, Battlefield Parkway near Holcomb's. Affordable Computers, we service what we sell. Call 499-1975. That's 499-1975.
Wow, this is amazing.
I'm feeling great. Supercharged.
Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy Reinhardt, inviting you to get a free session in our new Magnosphere. This is a device that improves your health through precisely tuned, low-frequency magnetic fields. As a chiropractor, I manage aches and pains, mainly in the back and neck. What's hurting you right now? And how long has it been there? Why put up with it any longer? I've been in practice for 28 years and know how to help. Chiropractic adjustments enable you to heal and to feel better. Call 875-8222. That's 875-8222. And remember, whether you come for chiropractic or not, you're invited to schedule your free Magnosphere session at 875-8222.
Hi, my name is Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. I help people who want to be self-employed. I help my clients through a very fact-based and analytical process to understand all the criteria that's important to them. I then help them look at franchises or businesses that fit their criteria. Once my clients find the right opportunity, I help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying themselves through the startup phase. If you're just curious to understand the types of businesses that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My phone number is 423-875-5621.
Hello, friends and neighbors. Come on down to Comfort Gallery Mattress and Furniture in Kimball, Tennessee. They have a huge selection and discount prices on quality brands you know and trust. 90 days, same as cash, easy payment plans, and a free 1-year no money down layaway. Open 7 days a week. Come on and visit or call 837-3000. That's Comfort Gallery Mattress and Furniture in Kimball, Tennessee.
Okay, you get your taxes done by a franchise, but you're just a number. Your preparer might have had a 9-week course, but he's a number 2. Are you creating prosperity for your customers and yourself? EJ Pelton clears the thick underbrush of taxes, helps make your way straight. Don't let uncertainty dampen your local economy spirit. Look, come home. Let EJ Pelton Tax Service handle your taxes. Eric Pelton is the Chattanooga and Saudi Daisy tax specialist with 37 years under his belt. Eric Pelton also does bookkeeping and accounting to help you reach your entrepreneurial and financial goals. Confidential advice, consulting, and other services. Yours for the asking. EJPelton.com. That's EJPelton.com. Call 332-3339. That's 332-3339. Think ahead.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Fox News Radio. I'm Lillian Wu. Lufthansa appointing an official to take care of examining and refining flight safety procedures at the company after the Germanwings crash, which authorities say was deliberately caused by the co-pilot. Meanwhile, prosecutors saying there's evidence he'd been hiding an illness from his employer.
Prosecutors say they found medical documents and a number of torn-up doctor's sick notes, including one for the day of the crash. But they say they found no suicide note and no evidence of a political or religious motivation for what happened.
Fox Radio's Simon Owen. University of Oklahoma announcing results of an investigation into a racist chant from Sigma Alpha Epsilon frat members.
It was learned by chapter members at a national leadership cruise sponsored by the national organization 4 years ago.
President David Bourne just a short while ago. Fox News. We report, you decide.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240. Live from Chattanooga, Tennessee, it's Nooganomics with David Toulis.
The Money Changer newsletter is pointing out that the national government just can't keep track of anything. There's a story in the Washington Post, came out on the 17th, about the Pentagon. They can't account for more than $500 million in military aid given to Yemen, which is being overrun by Iranians. There are missing 1.25 million rounds of ammo, 200 Glock 9mm, 200 M4 rifles, 300 sets of night goggles, 250 suits of body armor, 160 Humvees, and 4 Huey-2 helicopters, and a couple of 4 Raven drones and some other aircraft. and there's a quote from a straight-faced official: even in the best case scenario in an unstable country, we never have 100% accountability. And Franklin Sanders, the money changer, who's a gold expert and silver expert, says somebody ought to tell the Yankee government 500 million here and 500 million there. Pretty soon, you're talking about real money. Well, this is, of course, national economy, and this is the way empire runs. There's no accountability, and but don't think that that's lost money from you, right? That you didn't pay for that, even though some people would have you think that you did. It's not paid for by you. You are being drained of taxation. In fact, you're going to your tax preparer this week to see how much you ostensibly owe, but you're not paying for that. That's all borrowed. So the money that's lost is not actual money from you. Doesn't belong to you. You have no claim on it. It's been borrowed into existence. Well, the name is David Tulis. The show is Nuganomics.com. I'm the editor of the website, Nuganomics.com, that covers local economy and the free market. And I do thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time here at Hot News Talk at 910 in South Pittsburgh and Jasper, 1190 in Dunlap, and 1240 here in North County. We're a Saudi Daisy station, and this is the number 3 show on the little station that could. The one to which, nonetheless, Sean Hannity made the switch. That's us here at Hot News Talk Radio. All talk, all the time, free market oriented. You could say conservative, and I'm sure some people would say that it's right wing, but I'm not sure really what right wing means. And now I do know what affordable means, and affordable would be affordable computers. If you have a computer that's got a problem, the drive is saddled with glitches and viruses and software that is not needed, go and get a repair or an upgrade at affordable computers. Affordable computers, where you can even get a replacement. There are a couple of branches of this locally owned business, one on Highway 58 between the Arby's and Taco Bell in Fort Oglethorpe on Battlefield Parkway near the Holcombs. All new computers at Affordable are handmade. That means that it's made just for you, just for what you declare is the need that you have for it. You don't overbuild, you don't pay for power that you don't need. And $150 will get you into a refurbished Dell or other name brand laptop. So new ones are made in-house, and the name brands are all refurbished. So that's a great advantage for you. Take advantage of affordable computers. It certainly is affordable. The number is 499-1975, 499-1975. Bill Binney is a very important man, and we have to be thankful that he had finally enough. He'd had enough of the NSA. He worked in it for 36 years and was the director of global communications intelligence. And he's making an argument about local economy, and I'm going to ask how local economy fits into the surveillance scheme, and how Skynet, how we avoid Skynet, not in national economy context, not in the context of empire, but in fact, as he suggests in an interview with Richard Grove, in a local economy context. And here's the problem. The problem that he describes in a nutshell is that with total surveillance, that is, it is illegal, it's unconstitutional, it's lawless, it is, you might say, anarchic, right? Pertaining to anarchy. It is making everything you say on the internet or by phone, even I dare say by the U.S. Postal Service, is all collected in a massive database or a series of databases. And he says, here's what he said. Just forgive me that I'm going to quote him, but he says, they, the good people, just have to make sure that everybody knows what they are doing, the common people. And then people basically change what they're doing. So already there's this quiet change in society. He says, people I know have already changed how they operate, how they communicate internationally. And he cites author Chris Hedges. He is finding it very difficult to do any investigative reporting anymore because he can't find any sources that will talk to him. This problem impinges a news operation such as that here at Hot News Talk 1240, which is, and our young news director, Russell the Kid, right, the digital expert, is being thwarted by the problem that Bill Binney is describing. And so he said, so they're not talking, they're modifying their behavior, whereas they used to talk to him, Chris Hedges, about things off the record. Now they can't do that, or they don't do that because they're afraid of being monitored, and the existing government is threatening everybody with prosecution if they leak. No one is really willing to talk to anybody that's a reporter. And so that's changing how, he says, we no longer have a free press that can interrogate and probe into government activities. Well, here at Hot News Talk Radio 1240, we're concerned about that problem, and we'd like we are investigating a national story as well, and we'd like to have a way of getting a hold of information better than just the Freedom of Information Act request, which we and our friends have filed on one particular national story, namely the skystriping story. And so I'd like to ask our digital expert, Russell, about this question. Russell, welcome to Nuganomics.com.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Well, tell us, you're a news director of a little radio station that could, small outfit, but we hope of use to the listener. How is it that you would propose that a person with a national story, a soul in national economy that he's trying to unburden, how would he find you, and how would he tell you his secret, right? The national secret. How would he reveal these things to you without being detected? What is the protocol that you would suggest that he use, please?
Well, most radio stations, if we're talking about contacting me specifically, most radio stations have an address which is made public, which is required by the FCC. Say for the tower location and for the studio location, both of those things must be made public under FCC regulations, oddly enough. And even so, it's not too hard to find if you look through a directory. So let's say the listener wants to get in contact with me, the news director here at Hot News Talk Radio. What they would want to do if they want to get me information which they don't want to be made public, or they don't want
Well, they do want it to be made public, but they just don't want to be connected to the giving of it to you.
Correct. Yeah, I misspoke.
Okay.
They want information to be made public, but they don't want their identity to be made public. It's from an anonymous source. So what would have to be done is you could potentially send it from a post office to me. I wouldn't recommend that. Another option would be sending it via...
Without a return address.
Without a return address, obviously, but you could also send it from, say, UPS, and that could be done as well. Now, the best way probably would be to show up in person using a borrowed car or a stripped-down, custom-built motorcycle, if you want to go that way, and get to the studio location with a package containing a Raspberry Pi computer and an SD card or flash drive containing the information which you want to be made public. Now, a Raspberry Pi computer is a $35 computer which can be purchased online on Amazon, eBay, wherever, and it's a small computer that's self-contained and everything, system on chip, very, very inexpensive, and can be used independent of another system. So you don't need to have it connected to the internet to use it. Then I'd load up an operating system on a USB drive and, load technical process.
Well, you're skipping the details on what you do. What now?
Okay. So I would load a operating system onto that Raspberry Pi computer using a flash drive, which I would provide, and then I would plug in the flash drive, which was provided to me, that has the information on it, into that computer.
And you're saying me now. You're the whistleblower, right?
Right.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So the whistleblower provides me with their information on a USB drive, and I plug that into the now prepared Raspberry Pi computer, which is not connected to
which he has provided you as well.
Which he has provided me, which is not connected to any internet network. So it's totally independent of any network. Now, that doesn't mean it's totally secure, because nothing is, but it's less likely to be spied upon that way. So then I would connect that to a monitor and read everything just like it should be read, and then I would say delete the metadata from those files and copy it over to a CD-ROM drive or something like that, or modify it in some other way, export it as a different file. Lots of different ways we could go about that.
Well, Skynet has eyes everywhere. How is it that the whistleblower comes to you? Is he going to be perceived as having come to you? Is there metadata using cars? Is there metadata driving down the street?
Of course, yeah. A lot of police cars these days are actually equipped with something called LPR, which is a license plate reader device. So if you notice a police cruiser creeping up on you, getting really close, riding your bumper, which is actually illegal, if you notice them riding your bumper or looking down at their computer, they're using their license plate reader to make sure your registration is in check. But basically, they're checking your papers over the internet. So yeah, that information is cached, and there's a whole huge database with the DMV that keeps track of all that information. If you don't want the vehicle you're driving to be linked back to you, you have to borrow a car. So it's not too hard to borrow a car if you have friends. Just ask somebody, hey, can I borrow your car for a day?
Ask them in person.
Of course,
Maybe.
Ask them in person, not over the internet. Say a coworker, perhaps you could do. So after you've done that, drive the car. You could, I'm not sure how you want to disguise your face while within the car. I'm not sure that's necessary, but the license plate readers and traffic cameras would all detect it as a car belonging to Joe Blow, who's your next door neighbor or whatever. So then you courier the information from your location to my location using that borrowed car. That doesn't mean you're 100% secure yet again, because there's such a thing as facial recognition technology, which can be used from red light cameras, can be used from storefront cameras, can be used from YouTube videos, all sorts of different things.
And Ray-Bans won't disguise you.
No, Ray-Bans will not disguise you by any means, but it does lower the chances that you'll be recognized, but not by much. If you want to be totally unrecognizable, use contact lenses and wear a ski mask, and wear blackface.
But that would be very suspicious.
That would be extremely suspicious, yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that. If you want to look like just a regular guy on his way to work, try
Or
to
a ball cap and Ray-Bans.
Sure.
Okay.
Try to be as inconspicuous as possible. It's a sunny day after all. Why not? So that's that's how you would get information to me.
And the point we're making here is that Russell is not making the argument here, but I am, and that is that this is really a descent, or could we say an ascent, from national economy and its mysteries to local economy, where the contact is in person. Can the whistleblower Russell, news director here at Hot News Talk Radio, can he drive during the day, or should he drive at night? Should he drive on a sunny day, as you mentioned, or would it be better on a heavy day, a day of heavy sky treatment where there's this murk in the sky where nothing you would think could peer through it?
Okay, now we're going to get into extra paranoid territory, which is appropriate, actually, considering if you're handing off pretty big government secrets of a Bradley Manning caliber, then
right,
you'd want to be super careful, because after all, Bradley Manning got caught. Well, what you would need to do then is to make sure that it's an overcast day, because that would hinder the satellite imagers. Not by much, but by enough, maybe, depending on how advanced they are. After all, the advancedness of the technology isn't actually disclosed, so we don't know if they can peer through cloud cover or not. But that would work in your favor for something like imagers like Google Earth would use, that sort of thing. So that would ensure at least a little bit, at least on the civilian side, that satellites wouldn't be able to track your location as you're moving. That doesn't save you from having a GPS tag on your car, though, because there have been reports that FBI agents have actually put physical GPS tags on people's cars, students of a certain ethnicity or what have you. The only way to really get around that is to pre-inspect your car to ensure that those aren't on there. It's not like you can get, like in the movies, a sweeper, a scanner of some sort, you wave over your car and it beeps to tell you there's a GPS tracker on there. It doesn't really work that way. You'd have to physically inspect your car.
Crawling under, get some old clothes on, piece of cardboard, crawl into your car with a flashlight, and just look around for anything that's anomalous.
Right, and then that would reinforce the argument for getting a borrowed car. But
right,
even that's not totally safe. So, I mean, we're getting extra paranoid territory here. Another method is, if you're concerned about your clothing, you can microwave it. That's not a joke. I actually know of somebody who has done that. Microwave their clothing in case there was a very small GPS or RFID tag implanted under their clothing, say in the collar stay or something like that. You'd stick it in the microwave, set it for 30 seconds, and take it out, and wait for it to cool down before you put it back on.
Well, I remember the movie with Will Smith, The Enemy of the State, that had one scene where he stripped all of his clothing off because he was reassured by the man who was helping him that it was full of tags giving away his location.
Right, yeah, and that's exactly what you want to avoid. So to avoid stripping down in public, stick your clothes in a microwave.
Well, is there any way we can see, Russell, news director, any benefit in Skynet being so total, so exhaustive in its claims of not knowing where people are, what they're saying, what they're thinking, how many texts they send, how long the texts are, with whom they speak? Is there any benefit in the idea of are there good things here that we can see coming out of the gloom? Because in my mind, being totally surveyed is a very bleak thought and circumstance.
It would all depend on your perspective, I guess. If you're somebody who's an apologist for the statist argument, then you would see a whole bunch of arguments for that in favor of it. But we're local economy-minded people, so I can't see any possible positivity coming out of total surveillance. There's no way.
Well, one thing might be that if the man who's the whistleblower, who has a secret for Russell, the news director of a media outlet, and of course there are news directors and news editors and other outlets at the New Chattanooga Times Free Press. There's one at there's Beth Berger, the news producer over at TV3, and in every TV station and outlet there's an editor. They want good news. They want things that are important. They want things that are riveting, that are exciting. And of course, that's what we do in the news business. We try to inform the public, and we have what is our ethos, Russell, as a news outlet? What is our goal? Are we here just for ourselves and to gain? Are we trying to get ratings, or why is it that we want to have good and big stories at Hot News Talk Radio.
Well, if we were trying to gain ratings, we're pretty much doing exactly the opposite of what we should be doing to get ratings. So that's pretty obviously not what we have.
We don't talk about sex enough?
No, we really should. I think we should throw that out there a little bit more. No, our goal here at Hot News Talk Radio, at least my goal as news director, is to keep the public informed as much as I can, to make, on my opinionated shows, to make good arguments for local economy and for buying local and the free market. But as a news director, my goal is to make sure the public is informed of anything that's going on as unbiased as I can possibly be. If there's some negative story about, say, a Republican congressman, I'll make sure that gets out there as much as I would a story about a Democratic congressman, because I really don't care, because I don't like either party, so it works out. So we don't really have any sort of agenda other than just informing when it comes to the straight news.
We're talking about how someone who's trying to make a revelation, to blow the whistle on some secret of national government, how he eludes detection against the vacuum cleaner system that is the internet, where everything is tracked, everything is kept, and the database has my listener's name on it thousands and tens of thousands of times. Every email you've sent, every website you've been to is kept, though you may delete your Google history or your Yahoo history. The data is there, and someone who's determined to find out what you've been up to because somehow you've become important, you've become someone who needs persuasion, perhaps, on some point. That data can all be aggregated and a determination made whether you can be leaned on directly, or if you're clean, whether someone who's dear to you or important to you can be oppressed, so to get your attention and divert you from your dangerous course. And so the question is, how does someone make contact with a news director or a reporter or an editor? And that is to say, Russell, our news director, is saying it really needs to be in person, and that's not something that used to be an obligation of the whistleblower who has an important secret to tell. He could do it by other means, but now, since everything is tracked, there has to be a personal connection, which is a kind of an argument for local economy. Russell, thanks for chatting with us.
Absolutely, anytime.
Russell is Russell Stroud's our news director here at Hot News Talk Radio, and the question is, how do we prosper in local economy when there's this national overseer unlawfully and illicitly snarfing up all the data, making potentially, for any person, anybody at all, a dossier showing that this person needs to be persuaded to leave off, to not speak in this direction, to not further oppose, perhaps as vocally, this point or that. And then the question is, it's not just the national government and the NSA that does this, but as the technology improves, there will be lower state level, even maybe county level governments that can take advantage of access to the data mining sequences. And very possibly 10 years from now, 20 years from now, unless things change, you can have mayors who can find out about local opponents. And if they have a connection in a mid-level agency that has access to the federal database that Bill Binney helped create, that local official can fight a local battle in his own favor using the national security apparatus, so as it's called, the databases of the NSA. And so these are all dangerous things. We've heard reports. I think Bill Binney has talked about this. This is called parallel construction, and it's already in use in places without, I don't think there's been much reporting on it. Parallel construction of criminal defendants whose cases are turned in favor of the state by surveillance data that's illegal. And so parallel construction, as Bill Binney explains in an earlier interview, has the prosecutor with his assistants in the national power laundering the material and drawing false connections that mislead the judge and the jury as to how the information that is being offered for the conviction of the defendant, how that information was obtained. It's obtained illegally, but the parallel construction shows a plausible chain of events, a plausible sequence explaining how the police, how the detectives and the prosecutor got a hold of evidence tending toward conviction of the defendant. But it doesn't apply. I think it's going to be operative beyond just criminal cases. It will be operative politically. It'll be operative nationally, and you'll have blackmail. You'll have all kinds of things that can be done, as in the movie The Enemy of the State. when that movie first came out, people at my church said that movie's about you, David Toulis. They thought somehow I was involved in that because I was the man without the Social Security number, who was in litigation with the state over my constitutional and Christian liberties as a man and a user of the roads. And somehow when they saw that Will Smith in that movie, they said, that's David Toulis. And I just laughed, but I'm kind of surprised that someone said that. But in that movie, the man is Will Smith is tracked, and it's a very, very exciting picture. And how does someone escape this surveillance? Well, the point of the movie, I forgot my point. The point of the movie is that the malefactors got caught, and I think that's a bit of propaganda, because in real life, in the National Security Administration or agency, there are people who will not get caught. They're not caught because it's not made public, and there's no death of a senator criminal investigation in most of these cases. And you have people who are abusing their authority, abusing their huge power. They are paranoid, and Benny says that the machine keeps growing. The incidental harassment is not necessarily the thing that's wanted. What's wanted is continuing the problems which surveillance addresses. These problems have to continue, and because if the problems stopped or went away, the rationale, the raison d'être, the reason for being of the surveillance apparatus would cease, and then all these people would lose their contracts and lose their standing, and their jobs and their agency would be closed down. So there's an interest in national government in perpetuating terrorism, in perpetuating the kinds of things that are shriekingly astounding in the news headlines today. And so what do we do here in local economy? How does that affect us? Well, if a man wants to blow the whistle, let's say on sky striping, which is the story that I'm talking about, and the story for which I have a Freedom of Information Act request out and pending. If someone's going to talk to me about that story, he has to do it in person. He has to come to local economy. And as Russell, our news director, points out, it has to be in person, which means it has to be a local economy story. So here, local economy is saving us from the surveillance apparatus. The whistleblower comes to Chattanooga. He comes to my house at midnight, or he comes to my front door. He comes to the glass door of our radio station and says, I'd like to talk with you. I've got something important. And that's how things get out. And we can lose faith one more time in national government in Washington. We lose faith. It's important, as we consider the national economy, that we should not trust it anymore. We should not love it anymore. We should be wary of it. We should be even scared of it. And the thing to which we turn, I would say, is A, Christianity, and B, local economy, personal connections, personal relationships, and a future. This is David Toulis.
NASCAR, Laura Ingram, Dennis Miller, David Toulis, Coast to Coast AM, and CBS Radio News. Chattanooga's news, talk, and sports leader.
Hot News Talk Radio, 910, 1190, and 1240 AM.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. Coverage continues Sunday here at Live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out this Sunday live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station. Hot News Talk 1240.
You do not have to be living with constant pain. You need to make the choice today to enjoy a revitalized body. You deserve to live a better pain-free life. And Dr. Ross can help. At Ross Chiropractic, failure is not an option. For over 40 years, Dr. Ross, a graduate of the prestigious Palmer College of Chiropractic, prided himself in helping and healing. The Ross method of chiropractic care is unique in developing a treatment designed just for you. And Ross Chiropractic makes this promise to you. If he believes that he can't help relieve your pain, he will guide you to another health practitioner to assist you. Feel better now. You owe it to yourself. You really do. Call Dr. Ross now at 954-9591. That's 954-9591. And visit Dr. Ross at 7405 Shallowford Road, Suite 320. Ross Chiropractic, helping your body heal itself. Because when your spine's in line, you will feel fine. Call 954-9591. That's 954-9591 for Ross Chiropractic.
We've got a table here at Delia's in Saudi Daisy, ready to delight in a plate of authentic Mexican food. Delia's spreads a rich selection: loaded nachos, crazy chicken, homemade tamales, maybe the enchiladas with beef, chicken, pork, quesadillas. Every dish beautifully pictured on the menu to help us decide. Join us for lunch or dinner. We're at Delia's in Saudi Daisy on Dayton Pike near the Thrasher Light. Here's dinner. Delia's uses the freshest ingredients, cooked to perfection. Nachos, homemade. Delia's open every day except the Lord's Day. For lunch and dinner, treat yourself to Delia's genuine Mexican food. In Saudi, call 521-7145. That's 521-7145.
Every Tuesday at 11 a.m. on Hot News Talk Radio, join Real Estate U for an hour of information, guests, and new ideas about the dynamic Chattanooga real estate investment market. Real Estate U every Tuesday at 11 a.m. here on Hot News Talk Radio.
Pure, honest, fair, and respect. Just some words that come to mind when you think about how you want to be treated. And that's how you're treated at Rivermont Pure. Rivermont Pure in Rivermont, Chattanooga. Serving your vehicle needs for over 30 years.
Now that's a long time.
Owner-operators Charlie and Tommy always put your needs first. Yeah, go ahead. Get an estimate from one of those big guy impersonal car repair chains.
No way!
Then bring it to Tommy and Charlie at Rivermont Pure. Chances are they'll beat their price and get your vehicle back on the road faster than you can say,
our customers come first. Hi, this is Charlie.
And I'm Tommy, owners of Rivermont Pure. We're here to serve you.
Rivermont Pure, the auto repair guys. Featuring ethanol-free fuel. Located across from Rivermont Elementary on Hickson Pike. Rivermont, Chattanooga. Rivermont Pure.
Rivermont Pure, that's where I've always gone to get my car serviced. My husband and I trust Charlie and Tommy. They always treat us right and give us a fair price. And they get the job done right the first time. Thank you, Rivermont Pure.
Call 485-3375. That's 485-3375.
Hi, my name is Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. I help people who want to be self-employed. I help my clients through a very fact-based and analytical process to understand all the criteria that's important to them. I then help them look at franchises or businesses that fit their criteria. Once my clients find the right opportunity, I help them find the best way to finance the business, including paying themselves through the startup phase. If you're just curious to understand the types of businesses that may be right for you, please call me for a free assessment. My phone number is 423-875-5621.
It's time to get out your running shoes for the second annual Operation Outreach Race on March 28th at Miles Strait Baptist in Saudi Daisy. This year's race includes a 5K road race, trail race, a road and trail challenge, and a 1-mile fun walk. A portion of the proceeds will go to the Saudi Daisy Food Bank, and each participant will be asked to bring canned food to the race as we try to raise
SDQ Dunlap, WEPG South Pittsburgh, WSDT Saudi Daisy, Chattanooga.
CBS News, I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The University of Oklahoma has wrapped up its investigation into a racist chant by members of her frat, a chant that was caught on videotape.
University of Oklahoma President David Boren says this was not just a local incident. He says the racist words were common within the national organization of Sigma Alpha Epsilon.
That chant was learned and brought back to the local chapter. Over time, the chant was formalized by the local chapter and was taught to pledges as part of the formal and informal pledgeship process.
He says the Oklahoma frat brothers learned the chant at a national leadership gathering 4 years ago. The school had already disbanded its SAE chapter and expelled 2 students it says led the chant. Sam Litzinger, CBS News.
A former police officer in Alabama is now facing federal charges.
A police officer who slammed a 57-year-old Indian man to the ground has been indicted on federal civil rights charges. Former Alabama police officer Eric Parker was responding to a call about a suspicious individual walking around a suburban neighborhood, and video captured him slamming the man to the ground as he attempted to question him.
CBS's Paula Reed at the Justice Department. At a church in Dusseldorf, Germany, a memorial for the 149 victims of the Germanwings plane crash.
I'm Elaine Codd in Saint-Les-Alpes, France. French police have now recovered between 400 and 600 body parts from the plane wreckage, but they say they found no bodies intact. The search for more remains continues at the crash site, and DNA experts are already cross-matching samples from the remains with samples from relatives.
Investigators who searched the co-pilots' homes say they found a torn-up doctor's note that declared Andreas Lubis unfit to fly the day he slammed the plane into a mountain. A German hospital denies it treated Lubitz for depression. Blast off in the next hour in Kazakhstan for 2 astronauts, one American, one Russian, headed for the International Space Station for a mission unlike any other. Live to CBS News correspondent Peter King at Kennedy Space Center.
Scott Kelly, Mikhail Kornienko are leaving for almost a year. They and their Soyuz commander, Gennady Padalka, are strapped in and ready to launch in just over 40 minutes. Now, Kelly's and Kornienko's missions are expected to help doctors learn more about long-duration space flight and the human body. Keep in mind that eventually deep space missions to Mars could take not months but years. Kelly's flight is his second space station mission. It'll set an American space endurance record. Deborah?
The State Department applauds Israel's decision to release tax money it had been withholding from the cash-strapped Palestinian Authority. Spokesman Jeff Rathke.
We welcome the decision of the Prime Minister of Israel to release withheld tax revenues to the Palestinian Authority. This is an important step that will benefit the Palestinian people and help stabilize the situation in the West Bank.
Israel withheld the money after the Palestinian president applied to join the International Criminal Court, which could have led to a war crimes investigation of Israel. Dow up 6 points. This is CBS News.
A large school district with over 8,000 employees did their homework before replacing their flawed, paper-based employee tracking system. The answer? Workforce Management Solutions from Kronos. Now, payroll processing that took hours happens in minutes. Greater accuracy increases compliance and decreases labor costs. And from bus drivers to substitute teachers, Kronos gets high marks. Learn more about our solutions